All right, guys, welcome to episode number 19 of the ConquerMe podcast. Today, we're going to talk about energy management, which is kind of funny because it makes me feel like I'm getting old. Why am I worried about managing my energy? Obviously, when we're young, we have plenty of energy to go around. And I think about my son, like he just never slows down. And I look at him and go, man, holy crap, if I could just have half of that energy, right? But as we get older, we start to figure out that energy levels start to decline, which makes it much harder to do the things that we need to do on a daily basis to make progress in our life. And so the older I get and the more I focus on personal productivity and personal development and growth, and my desire grows to help more people and to kind of move my business forward and move my family forward, I realized that the most precious currency is energy. And without adequate energy, I can't do the things that I need to do. And so now I've started thinking in terms of how do I manage this very precious resource called energy? How can I, because it is finite, we only have so much. So how can I save it, cultivate it, generate it on demand so that I'm able to move forward, right? And this is a very, very important topic for a lot of people that come in that I coach. They say, I just want to have more energy. I just feel like I don't have enough of me to give. I go to work, I get home, I don't have enough energy to give my kids. And so if you're listening to this and you don't have a high level of energy, you know that everyday life can be a grind. You don't feel like getting out of the bed. You don't feel like doing the things around the house. You don't feel like going to work. You don't feel like, right? You just kind of drag yourself through life. And there are some really good things that we can do to manage our energy and to increase our energy level. So I want to talk to you guys about this today because it literally is the difference maker between whether or not we leave a legacy or we just kind of halfway drag ourselves through life and get to the end going, man, I really didn't accomplish that much because I just didn't have the energy to do so. So I want to dive in on this topic with you guys today. And first of all, say, genetically, we are predisposed to a certain level of energy, right? You know people that are very high energy people just by default. They were born that way. They've always been that way. They can just go, 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 go. Well, I'm not that way, right? And you might not be that way either. And if you're not, I'm going to help you to become more of that way, right? I have to really be creative with what I do and how I manage my lifestyle, or else I have a tendency to be more lethargic and not really have the level of energy that I need. On the other side of it is I'm very ambitious and I have a lot of goals and dreams and things that I want to accomplish. And so there's this disconnect between like, man, I've got all these things in my head that I want to do, but I'm really struggling to conjure up enough energy to make that happen, right? So I've started to think about like, how does this work? And is there a way that I could be more energetic? And there certainly is, and that's what we're going to hit on today. So first thing I want you guys to consider is your sleep patterns, right? When you think about energy levels, your sleep is when you recharge the battery. If you're getting poor quality sleep, it's like plugging in your iPhone to one of those old school, not the flash chargers, but they take forever to charge. You could have it on the charger for a lot longer, but it's not really getting a full charge, right? You pull it off and it's still halfway charged. That's what it's like when we don't get quality sleep. Even if you're getting 7, 8, 9 hours of sleep, but it's poor quality, guess what? You're still not going to be charged. And at night in our sleep, that's when things regenerate. That's when hormones balance. That's when the magic happens. And if we do it right and we get good quality, we'll wake up ready to tackle the day. So some things you can do to improve quality of sleep that's really helped me out is, one, go to sleep and wake up at the same time. Right? Find a good pattern and a good amount of sleep in terms of hours that you need to function, and then figure out how you can go to bed and wake up at the same time. It does something for your circadian rhythm, puts it in motion so that you'll feel so much better when you wake up. So that's the first thing. The other is cut out the blue light. This is pretty much common knowledge at this point, but turn off the TV, turn off the screens at least a minimum an hour before bed. Pick up a book, an actual book, and start reading. And that will allow you to start to settle, and you'll get a much higher quality of sleep that way. And you can track this, guys. Nowadays, there's all these watches and technologies and things, apps that you can put on just to track your quality of sleep. You can also gauge how many hours you need and what's the optimal level for you there by looking at the quality. If you sleep 6 hours, you do all the things that I just told you about, the nighttime routine, turn off the screens, read a book, maybe have some hot tea or something before bed to kind of help your digestive system and to slow things down. If you're doing these things and you sleep 6 hours and your sleep quality is really low, but then you do it again and it's 7 hours and it's really high, maybe that's the sweet spot. So play around with that using these apps and these technologies, whether it's Apple Watch or Whoop or whatever, you can get that dialed in. The next thing to manage your energy is your nutritional habits, right? I know that if I eat poorly, I'm going to feel like garbage. So this past weekend, just to be a little bit vulnerable with you guys, the reason I came up with this topic and wanted to talk about this is because this weekend was trash for me. I did not do the things necessary to manage my energy, and I felt like garbage all weekend, right? So I laid in the bed way longer than I normally do. I got up and ate a bunch of garbage. We went out to eat a couple times. I drank way too much caffeine. Like all the things I'm going to talk to you about today, I didn't do those things. And as a result, I just felt terrible all day. And so it got me thinking like, man, what's my most successful day look like? When I feel the best and the most energetic and I'm out crushing my day, what are the things that I'm doing? What are the habits that I have in place that help me to get there? Good nutrition is going to be key to making us feel better. So we can't eat a lot of highly processed sugary foods. We don't want to be spiking our insulin constantly by eating a bunch of carbohydrates. Our diet should be primarily made up of good protein sources, high quality fats, and of course, some carbohydrates, but a little lower. Most Americans are way, way overfed on carbs, and we eat too much throughout the day, which means we have a constant spike of insulin and it's rising and falling. And that just zaps your energy like crazy. So looking at your nutritional habits and how you approach those is going to make a huge, huge difference in how you feel throughout the day. Okay, so the next is movement. If we're moving regularly, and I mean exercise, of course, moderate intensity, you're going to notice a big increase in energy. But also, when I say movement, I mean you can literally change your state, the way that you feel, how much energy you have by using your body, and you're like really exerting energy into the way that you do things, the way that you show up. We're going to talk about self-talk here in a second. When you do self-talk, how you can throw your body into it. Tony Robbins talks about you can use your physiology to change your state. And it's so true. If I walk in the room and I'm like, hey guys, and I'm all humdrum and like depressed, guess what? Like that's the motion that I'm setting. But even if I feel depressed and I walk in and I go, hey guys, what's up? And I'm bringing energy and I'm excited, all of a sudden subconscious mind picks up on that physiology and you start to feel more energetic. So you can move your way into more energy. And that's basically what happens with exercise. If you ever go work out and you're like, God, I do not feel like working out, but you go do it anyway, all of a sudden at the end of your workout, you're recharged. You feel great. You're like, man, I got so much energy right now. I'm so glad I did this workout. It's the same thing. You're acting your way physiologically into more energy. Okay, so that's what I mean by movement. The next thing is just to understand your natural rhythm. Some people do really, really well waking up early in the morning. Some people are not morning people and they need to wake up or do their most productive work later in the evening. Whatever your rhythm is there, if you can tap in and leverage that, that is going to generate more energy. Because again, if I'm at my peak state early in the morning and I'm doing my most important work and I'm getting those wins in right out of the gate, guess what? That feeds my energy level. Now that I have some wins under my belt, I'm feeling good about my day, it's momentum in the right direction. But if I'm not a morning person and I'm forcing myself to do these things and it's a grind all the way through, it's just a lot harder to generate that energy. Okay, so learn your rhythm. Another thing that's super helpful is to focus on gratitude. You're going to hear me say this over and over and over. And if you listen to any self-help, personal development person, they're going to tell you that focusing on gratitude is going to be one of the most fundamental things that you can do to increase or improve your mindset, right? So when we sit there and we consciously and intentionally look at all the things that we have to be grateful for, it generates energy. It makes us do two things. One, we want to go get more of that thing. And two, we fight so that we don't lose that thing. Either way, we need energy to do that. So when I'm thinking about my family and thinking about my business and thinking about all the great things I have in my life, I'm going, man, this is amazing. Like, look at all the things I have. I want to go take action so that I can keep those and get more of that, right? So gratitude is key. And you can do that by simply doing a gratitude journal every morning, pull out a notebook. Doesn't have to be fancy. Just write down 3 to 5 or 10 or whatever you feel like that day, things that you're grateful for. But the key is to meditate on those things, to visualize those things. And that's the next point here is if we can visualize the way that we want our life to be, and we can really see it. So we're thinking about all the things that we have to be grateful for, and we have this increase of energy and excitement. And then we visualize exactly what we want our life to look like, what we want our business to look like, what we want our health to look like, what we want, our fitness to be like, whatever it is. It's the same thing. It generates energy. We get excited about it, and now all of a sudden we want to go take action, right? The key to this, guys, to increasing your energy is so that we take action. Action is the only thing that is going to lead to the outcomes that we want. And so to be able to generate energy on demand that causes us to take action is a really good skill to have. Okay, so that's the next one is visualization. Next is going to be self-talk. So what do I mean by self-talk? It's the things that you say when you talk to yourself. And believe it or not, we're all talking to ourselves all day, every day, awake and our subconscious at night. And we're either talking ourselves into becoming better and feeling better and being more energetic, or we're talking our way out of it. I was talking to somebody recently, and they were telling me about their anxiety. And they kept saying, my anxiety, my anxiety, my anxiety. And I said, well, the first thing is, stop calling it your anxiety because it doesn't belong to you. It's just anxiety. As long as we claim it, we're talking ourselves into anxiety, not out of anxiety. And then I said, so what makes you anxious? And this person starts telling me about the things that make them anxious. And I said, how do you feel when you say those things? And they said, well, I feel really anxious. I said, so is it fair to say that you just talked your way into being anxious? And they said, yeah. I said, so do you think we could talk our way out of being anxious? By saying the opposite things, by focusing on gratitude, by visualizing what we want, and saying things that align with who we want to be and where we want to go, versus repeating things that don't serve us, right? This person was saying, my child upsets me, and my husband's job does this, and my financial situation is like this. Like, what if we just turn that and we put a positive spin on it, and you start doing some positive affirmations? Could you all of a sudden feel better? And there was like an epiphany, and they're like, yeah, I literally talked my way into feeling anxious. I wasn't feeling anxious at first. Now I am. Like, okay, so that's a process of self-talk that if we can really get a hold of the power of that, we can on demand generate energy. So when I wake up and I come into the office in the morning, I have a ritual that I do that includes some of these things. I do self-talk. I get involved. I move my hands. I say, I feel amazing. I'm full of energy. Every cell in my body vibrates with energy. And it's really hard to go through that process and not be fired up and ready to crush the day. Okay, so self-talk, very, very important. Next is just get organized. This seems crazy, guys, but I'm telling you, if you will free your mind of clutter, and you'll free your workspace of clutter, and you'll map out your days so that you know exactly what to do, when you're going to do it, you will be amazed at how much more energy you have left at the end of the day, because it's not being exhausted trying to figure out the mess that you have in your brain, right? If I don't do those things, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to just start responding to emails, looking at Facebook, trying to see who's the loudest to determine where my attention goes. I'm trying to figure out what a priority is. And it's like there's this constant state of overwhelm if we're not organized, and overwhelm will drain your energy. There's nothing that will drain your energy more than fear and overwhelm. If you're afraid of what's going to happen and you're overwhelmed by all that you have to do, you're just going to want to go crawl under a rock and hide, right? If you've ever felt that way, like you wake up and you just got this huge mountain of stuff and you don't even know where to start, and you wake up and you start looking at your phone and scrolling, and now you're all into that mess, and you go get in your car and there's just stuff everywhere, and it's like, and then you get to work and there's sticky notes all over everywhere, and you don't even know where to go, and the clutter will drain your energy. So just focus on getting organized by planning your day, blocking out your schedule, maybe cleaning out the car, cleaning out the closet or the house so that you don't feel so cluttered. And then the last thing that I'll say to eliminate energy drain is to spend less time on social media and stop watching the news. And you guys know I'm passionate about this because you can wake up with tons of energy. You can do positive self-talk. You can visualize your goals. You can be grateful for all the things. You can have an amazing diet. You can move your body. You can do all of this. But if you start consuming a bunch of negativity, and if you haven't figured this out by now, I don't care what news network you watch, it's all lies. It's all influenced by a political agenda. There's no more real journalism. Like, you can't actually turn on the TV anymore to a news channel and find out what's happening in the world. This side is promoting this thing because of their agenda. This side is saying it's happening this way because of their agenda. And you're going to be caught in the middle somewhere. And you're going to be passionate about things that really don't matter. And you're going to go down this rabbit hole of who's right and who's wrong. And you don't turn it on and hear a bunch of inspirational, motivational, positive, uplifting things on the news. It's all fear, it's doom, it's gloom, it's war, it's death, it's disease. Do you think these things are going to add energy or take away energy? And then if you're on social media too much, you're going to get caught in the comparison trap, right? All you see on social media is people's highlight reels. And it's too easy not to just like avoid the comparison trap. You're going to get on there and go, man, they really have it together. Man, I should be crushing it. Look at what they're doing. And now guess what? Is that feeding my energy or stealing my energy? And so guys, what I'll say to kind of wrap this up is I don't know that there's really a more important place to put your time as there is into figuring out how we can manage the energy that we have and even regenerate more. Because it is the dictating thing on whether we get up and move and take action. And I know that if you're listening to this, no matter what your position is, if you're in business or if you have a job or if you have a family, your desire is not to lay around and waste your life. Life is so short. And I know that we all have these different epiphanies at different times of life, or maybe we lose someone or you get in a car accident and you're like, man, I could have just lost my life. And you realize how short it actually is, or you have kids, if you're in my boat and you're like, holy cow, what happened? My daughter is going to be a teenager before I know it. My son's already, it's crazy how fast things happen. And so realize that this life is short. And if we're going to do great things and live to our potential, which I believe we're all created in God's image, on purpose, with a purpose. But if we're going to do that, we've got to understand that if we just follow the path of least resistance and we don't move our body and we eat the sad standard American diet and we consume everything that's being thrown at us and we watch the news and we don't take care of our health and we don't focus on the things that we're grateful for and we just drift, it's going to lead to a place of energy depletion, not energy regeneration. So this is a very proactive approach, but I believe if we want to get where we want to go and want to live a life of purpose, then it's required. So guys, let's regenerate some energy today. Let's get fired up about the day. Let's look at all the amazing things that we have to be grateful for, and let's go crush this week. I really appreciate all the support on this podcast and I look forward to seeing you guys on the next episode. Peace.